Autumn wind carried dry leaves across a forgotten street on the edge of town. In front of an old house, the flashing lights of an official truck painted the cracked walls with cold reflections. A gray-haired woman stood on the porch, holding a folded letter with trembling hands. The man in the suit spoke with the kind of voice that doesn't leave room for mercy. "You have 48 hours to vacate the property." She didn't argue, didn't beg. She just closed her eyes, pressing that letter to her chest. And somewhere in the valley, miles away, the sound of engines began to wake. Stay until the end, because this story proves that some loyalties can't be broken, no matter the cost.
She'd lived alone for 3 years. Her husband, a lifelong mechanic, a man who'd spent more time on the road than at home, had passed away, leaving behind more debt than memories. The house he built with his own hands was all she had left. The walls still smelled of oil, wood, and time. But banks don't understand love or memory. One wrong signature, one payment too late, and what began as paperwork turned into a death sentence. Neighbors watched from a distance, that quiet, cowardly kind of sympathy that never dares to move. Until one morning, a young man from the local garage stormed into the roadside bar, pale and shaking. He said they were clearing out the widow's home, throwing her life into boxes. In the corner, a group of bikers fell silent. One of them, gray-bearded and steady, set his glass down. No one spoke. Only the scrape of chairs, the creak of leather, and then the roar of engines filling the road like thunder.
Sometimes justice doesn't come from courts. It comes from those who still remember what respect means. By sunset, 20 bikes rolled up the narrow street. The officials looked nervous. The widow stood on the porch, uncertain, her tears drying under the fading light. The riders didn't shout, they didn't threaten. They simply stood there, unshakable. If you still believe loyalty means something, subscribe to Hell's Road, because stories like this are far from over. The gray-bearded man approached her. "Your husband was one of us," he said softly, "and no brother gets left behind, not even after the final ride." She looked at the back of his vest. No club name, no famous emblem. Just one word stitched in white: honor. They began to move. Some lifted furniture back inside. Others stood guard by the fence. And when the man from the bank returned, he found something no number could measure: dignity. They carried their colors like armor, symbols of a code that can't be bought or sold. You can carry that same spirit. The official Hell's Road store is linked below for those who live by the code. The confrontation didn't last long. The official tried to assert his authority, but his words drowned in the echo of engines. The bikers stepped forward, his tone calm but absolute.
No one's taking anything from this house today. And in that moment, the man from the bank understood. There are lines you don't cross, not because of law, but because of decency. As darkness fell, they left, and in the quiet that followed, the widow cried, not from fear, but from relief. They didn't offer pity. They offered something stronger. Belonging. Days passed. The story spread, and no one dared to touch that house again. Each sunset, the sound of engines echoed through the pines. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. She would never be alone again. Some roads lead to redemption, others to memory. If you want to keep that fire alive, the official Hell's Road store is linked below, where brotherhood lives beyond the story. Winter came. The house still stood. A rusty metal plate hung by the door, engraved with the words, "Built with love, defended with honor." The highways are full of stories like this, whispered between the wind and the hum of the road. Tales that never make the news, but remind us who we are when no one's watching. Because sometimes justice doesn't need laws, only hearts that refuse to give up. This was one of the forgotten legends of the road. Subscribe to Hell's Road and ride with us into the next story.